Right, hey guys, how are we doing? Back on another video from Seth the Programmer, and today we're checking out Baryon Mode is way stronger than you think. So Cargate's done a video explaining Baryon Mode, so we got all the sciencey stuff behind it, which I thought was quite funny. But now, we are getting why it's stronger than we actually think. Let's get some power scaling on this thing, shall we? Let's see what Seth the Programmer has to say. Ha! Naruto was literally going, man, it's gonna take a while. Nice.
Superhuman strength, super speed, super alien eyeballs, magic wizard powers, ninja weapons, super alien genetics, reincarnation, alien demigods, Dragon Ball Ki Blast, super alien monster parasite divided
Just go into the eye, ears,
super alien monsters, all against science.
He still can't beat Goku though.
Shut up! Today's video will be going over Naruto and Kurama's Baryon Mode and his fight against Ishiki. I've been promising this video for quite a bit now, and I won't lie.
Hell yeah, let's go. Let's see why this is so beastly.
But I think I have a lot of game-changing stuff to show and explain to you guys that'll make you think of Baryon Mode entirely differently than before.
Yeah.
I'll also go over some in-story explanations and justifications of Baryon Mode as well, and overall do a bit of defense of the form, since a bit of people don't understand a lot of things about it near the end.
Cool.
Baryon Mode, at its core, is a Kurama technique.
Yeah.
It's based off the physics term baryon, which is
there we go, we're getting another
a
scientific explanation of it, but okay.
Meaning baryon, at its roots, is a very scientific and more thought-out ability. It's slightly different than mostly every other chakra.
Which makes it interesting. Makes it very interesting. It stands out from the rest.
Thematically, it's supposed to represent a scientific twist on chakra, use that Kurama utilizes that overall coincides with the whole scientific ninja tool adaptation.
Yeah, it goes with that, yeah.
Throughout the story. However, it's a little bit more interesting because this technique is not just a scientific twist on chakra use, it's Kurama showing that true chakra understanding and logic can actually amplify the abilities of chakra if you don't just use it.
Kurama's a beast.
Kurama is often underestimated,
yeah.
But he is in fact one of the most knowledgeable and intelligent characters in the entire Naruto franchise.
He knows a lot. He's been around for a while.
Since the days of the
yeah, there you go. Yeah.
before ninjutsu was even named,
yeah.
And shares almost the same level of life experience as Black Zetsu, who was so intelligent and resourceful, he manipulated Madara Uchiha and pretty much almost all of
Aizen would beam though.
into doing his bidding
I love
and reviving Kaguya Otsutsuki. However, one thing Black Zetsu lacks that Kurama doesn't is that while Black Zetsu is an observer and definitely knows his stuff, he's not in the front line of the action nearly as much.
He's no way a fighter like.
Kurama has been the Jinchuriki, a very powerful shinobi.
Yeah, he's
fought alongside Madara.
Yeah, there you go. I was about to say, he's been involved with big fights.
Basically invented chakra for normal people to use, and has witnessed first-hand battles more times than you'd really imagine.
Yeah.
Due to his experience, he has a vast wealth of information we have very little idea of, and this
so it makes sense. It does make sense that Kurama would be able to come up with such a technique, like.
Series, even before Naruto befriends him. While Naruto is often complimented for being able to create shadow clones, Kurama can literally split himself into two on some cell division and still be pretty much the same exact strength. This division technique, which was utilizing as Orochimaru of Kurama, is more advanced than any Biju technique Naruto has ever used, where Naruto just makes chakra arms at best.
Yeah.
Kurama also uses this experience to captain around Kakashi, Guy, and Naruto with more efficiency and understanding than any of them could muster, and was also coaching Naruto in his fight against Kaguya and Sasuke in the series. Basically,
gives a lot of advice.
Is smart and knows his stuff about chakra very well. Using this knowledge, he figures he could fuse chakra together in a similar manner.
And then he's a scientist.
Fusion, showing an even more insane understanding than we thought.
Yeah, like of the world itself.
Something he could have learned from his hundreds to possibly thousands of years of life, or maybe he just paid attention to the ninja scientists talking.
Could you imagine? Naruto has just gone right over his head.
Is necessary to face down against Ishiki Otsutsuki in the Boruto era, and not only does he create a
that's quite funny. I like that.
Naruto and his chakra, it also has an 8 gates level resolve spin on it that might amplify it even further than that.
Damn.
Most people don't understand how significant nuclear fusion actually is, but if you say that Baryon Mode is them using the nuclear fusion process, which Kurama compares to the sun, but with chakra, we can actually somewhat quantify an increase for the form. Since Kurama compares the Baryon Mode fusion to the process of nuclear fusion in stars, we can maybe try to quantify how much more powerful it is than its other forms by comparing it to the amount of energy stars produce with fusion. According to this chart, hydrogen 2 produces an omega.
Wow, we're getting a lot of science.
Meaning if you take into account molar mass,
Of course we are. Seth goes through all the numbers, doesn't he?
hydrogen 2 undergoing fusion.
Ah, of course he is.
48 billion.
That's a big number. It's a big number.
663,984
Joules.
Joules. A gram of the we breathe, and the stuff
Damn.
is just part of every molecule of water. And from that, get enough power to blow up a building 50 times over. So normally, these things exert billions of times less energy.
Yeah.
Considering that Naruto is considered to have pretty much a limitless stamina in the last, and Kuromi's power is a bit more than simply breathing in air, it's really up to the imagination how astronomical of an explosive increase Baryon Mode could potentially be. This also leads to another way you
It's a shame that he's not going to be able to use it again, like.
power output and stamina limitations. As I just said,
But it could potentially open up like ideas for other people to do in the future, I don't know.
And he can fight for days on end with only small breaks or rejuvenations in between. Even during his peak fights against Kaguya and Sasuke, he only got 2 recharges and almost a full day of straight fighting against the strongest adversaries he's ever seen. Yet Baryon Mode's output is so insane that this multi-hour stamina only lasts for pretty much a few seconds, really.
Yeah, he didn't have long with it, yeah.
And maybe a few minutes in the anime, which further supports that insane nuclear fusion level increase the form could provide. While its roots in physics,
I don't know, I've just been watching Final Space and I just watched a really funny scene with Trigor, or Tribor, whatever his name is, fight like the guy with the red hat, and that just reminded me of the same fight where he just bounced around slapping him anyway.
The concept that all things in the universe, life, matter, and so on, a cycle without end. For Naruto, this is how many things are from peace to war and the cycles of hatred and violence. Obito and Madara were seekers of the power of the 6 paths in hopes they'd obtain enough pain to end the cycles entirely and bring an end to samsara, with the moon and Baba Chakra, Wheel of Samsara, representing freedom from samsara, with the sage's 6 paths on an eternal mission to solve this samsara or cycles, and Kaguya Otsutsuki being its personification. Even the 6 paths of pain are clearly in reference to this, obviously.
Yeah.
They too seek to end the cycles of hatred and misery through pain. However, Ishiki, Kaguya's boss, represents something a bit different. He's an alien out of this world and had no involvement with these cycles. And unlike his other alien counterparts like Kaguya and Momoshiki, he seems to want little to no conflict and is rather disinterested in anything but his further ascension into being a god. Ishiki is, and this will sound a bit crazy, represents 8 paths. Well, he's almost there. All over his body, he's designed with 8 tomos, and his eyes very similar to the 8 paths Dharma wheel.
Oh, okay.
Dharmakaya is often
someone did post, I think Neuro Explained posted something like this a while ago.
Dwelling forever in peace, basically outside of samsara, in which Ishiki was one step from obtaining, had it not been for Naruto, Sasuke, Kawaki, and Boruto denying him of it, and his karma, which Amato says lets him transcend death. For Naruto to utterly dominate someone
does dominate him as well,
mode is an entirely next level feat, and might actually put Naruto in a godhood level of power, considering Ishiki was already pretty much one step from doing so. This 8 paths Dharma concept is what conceptually puts Ishiki above the 6 paths cast of the original series.
Well, yeah, it's a higher number.
In terms of even his in-universe being an Otsutsuki, Otsutskis are beings of evolution and data, with them constantly amping each other over and over again to climb the evolutionary hierarchy into godhood. This data and evolution is most prominently shown in Ishiki's private realm, in which he is shown at the peak of the data hierarchy, even above Kaguya and Momoshiki, who both represent and have samsara eyes, which also supports him being above 6 paths. These Otsutsuki, or celestial warriors, are very similar to the Devas from Buddhism as well, in which Ishiki is placed atop the hierarchy. He also shows a lot of similarities to Mara, who is the supreme enemy of the Buddha, and since Ishiki is supposed to be the ultimate and strongest enemy that pushes Naruto beyond all his limits, it makes sense for him to have this inspiration. For those that don't buy it yet, let me break it down this way.
Okay.
Did you know that
Simplify.
the Renegon literally means samsara?
Oh, well, that's cool.
I don't know if it could be any more blatant
That's
than
cool.
that, but Pain, Obito, Madara, Sasuke, Kaguya,
all have the
Momoshiki
samsara eye.
all have a samsara eye, or the Renegon. Then the guy above samsara, Ishiki, or 8 paths, for some reason is the only new big bad alien that doesn't have a samsara eye. but instead has a Dharma wheel eye. It's pretty obvious.
Yeah,
well,
that makes
except for
sense.
the cyborgs above Jigen, but they're cyborgs, so they don't count.
Yeah,
Some more evidence
cyborgs
of
can
this
have
is
all
that
sorts of
Naruto
weird,
anime
like,
just blatantly
explanations
says
for why
Ishiki
they're
is
so
the
strong.
strongest enemy in the franchise so far.
Dragon
So
Ball
no
Z.
nerfs this time. Baryon Mode is just the top dog of everything. For a more grounded explanation of how strong the form is, for those that maybe aren't interested in the physics or the Buddhism inspirations, we can compare it directly to something like 8 gates or 6 paths.
Okay.
Might Guy, in just his pre-8 gate states and with massive fatigue, could blast Edo Tensei Madara off the battlefield, incapacitate him for a good amount of time, and even disconnect him from his Ten Tails, and even reacts to Ten Tails Madara and pushes him briefly before needing to resort to the full 8
gates, yeah, so he doesn't even go full out yet.
Ten Tails Madara with literally just air blast that he punches the air with. Considering a live Madara alongside a Renegon is stronger than Edo Tensei Madara, it's safe to say that Guy now has to take on a guy who's over a 10 Tails level increase over what he did previously with the 8 gates, and surpasses his original power by tenfold over tenfold, and surpassed even the 5 Kage. With 6 paths, Naruto goes from struggling with blind Madara in KCM2 and losing to one-eyed Renegon Madara to destroying Ten Tails Madara with more ease than Might Guy in 8 gates, and even avoiding his limbo without even using his Bijou Cloak. Madara then absorbs the God Tree and obtains a second Renegon, and despite Limbo clones being equal to their original, Naruto is able to fight 2 Renegon God Tree Madaras off with just Shadow clones. Some people think that the God Tree is a 10 Tails level increase as well, and with a second Renegon that exponentially increases Madara's power even more than 1 Renegon, which let him go from
because 2 is better than 1.
I might believe it. However, what's even more blatant is that Madara gets caught by Black Zetsu, and energy starts pouring from the infinite Tsukuyomi and shooting out from the ground, which Naruto says the energy in question surpasses even that of the Ten Tails.
Damn.
And it shoots straight into Madara to the point his body can't handle the energy, and he's going to explode. This ball of Madara then becomes Kaguya. Naruto is able to fight and give a hard time. So Naruto goes from a similar level as pre-8th gate Might Guy to multiple 10 Tails levels stronger with 1 power-up. To go even further, even if you said Naruto and Sasuke never got any stronger, even though there's plenty of implications
that they have,
Jigen can no-dip Naruto and Sasuke at the same time, and Ishiki is an entirely different tier above even Jigen, and even Sasuke with his Sharingan that can borderline see the future can barely perceive it.
Can't keep up,
Baryon Mode blitzes Ishiki in the anime, meaning Sasuke with his Sharingan, which we could see in the first fight between Naruto and Sasuke in part 1, would not even be able to see Baryon Mode move, and boxes Ishiki onto his hands and knees casually, even with the most basic of Rasengan and combos. There's often the question if Naruto still has 6 paths as an adult, and I'll say it's ambiguous, but heavily implied he has something other than KCM2 Sage Mode. I say this because Sage Mode, even for adult Naruto, still has Sage Rings around his eyes. In fact, those rings are the sign of a perfect Sage. You cannot really go beyond that. Yet Naruto as an adult has no signs of these rings in his fight against Ishiki before Baryon Mode, showing it's a little different and probably some kind of 6 paths. Naruto even implies that 6 paths is something made with P and Kurama's energy and doesn't require any more outside influence like Hagoromo again, with Kurama saying that Baryon Mode will be even more insane of an amp, meaning Baryon Mode may have amped Naruto by several 10 Tails levels of power, which honestly could fit very well if you consider the fact that Ishiki was already basically 2 levels above Sasuke and Naruto anyway, with them not even be able to use fusion against him, meaning even Jigen's power was probably over twice as great as Naruto and Sasuke, since Momoshiki didn't even think their fused form could beat him, with Ishiki being otherworldly in comparison. I think it's extremely clear-cut that Naruto is at the top of the series at the moment, and nothing even comes remotely close until we see someone straight up blitz Sasuke's Sharingan with linear movement, but even that's questionable because Sasuke's weaker now. A very fitting end for Kurama. They really did give Ishiki the business.
They did.
The next part of the video will be a brief Baryon Mode defense section for you
cool.
because I see a lot of people that question somewhat basic aspects about it. The thing I hear the most is, why did Kurama never mention this before? Well, for one, it wasn't invented yet. Duh. Even then, there's a lot of in-universe reasons leaving that basic idea out, and it'll leave some internal consistency that I can explain. So, we'll assume Kurama could have used Baryon Mode ever since he became friends with Naruto. For all we know, Kurama could have needed his other half and needed to learn more about fusion
Could have.
from eavesdropping on scientists in Boruto. But let's just assume he knows ever since the Jinchuriki brawl. So, for one, he did not need it against Obito.
No.
And was still mastering Kurama Mode in general. Probably couldn't have used Baryon Mode anyway due to them not even having a good link in the basic KCM form. 2, against Madara, the only time he would have needed it is when Madara was yanking Kurama out of Naruto. However, Kurama had a plan to still save Naruto and himself despite this event by getting Minato's Ninetales into Naruto. Therefore, a sacrifice was not needed. 3, he did not need it against Kaguya. The only time he would have remotely needed it is when they were stuck in the gravity realm. But the other problem is that Kurama wanted Naruto to become Hokage, and that he'd have to fight Sasuke soon. Without him, Sasuke would simply win, and Naruto would never become Hokage. It would be a waste. 4, using it on Sasuke is also pointless. Naruto and Sasuke's battle was one of them trying to understand each other.
Yeah, it's an understanding fight. It's not trying to overwhelm each
5,
other.
they didn't need it against Momoshiki. They beat him down pretty bad. 6, they didn't need it against Delta. They soloed her pretty easily.
Yeah.
The only thing I'll say for Baryon Mode is that maybe Kurama could have foreshadowed it after the Jiken fight.
Yeah, that would have been cool.
But other than that, there's no need for it to ever come up anywhere else in the series. I'm also personally more on board with the idea that Kurama simply learned this form after Shippuden, as it makes the most sense, but even then, the form is still fine and internally consistent with Naruto. The other issue I see is that people downplay its power pretty extremely, saying Ishiki didn't even think its striking power was impressive. However, this is disingenuous because Ishiki only says Naruto's strikes aren't the main issue after Naruto starts becoming exhausted. In the manga, he only throws like 5 punches before getting tired, but in the extended anime version, we see Naruto blatantly overpower Ishiki and put
Does the exact same thing he did against...
gas for air.
Didn't he do that against Sasuke?
Does Naruto's power then drain, and Naruto almost passes out, and his strikes become not that big of a deal.
Bounced him across the water.
Anyway, that's everything on Baryon Mode for those of you that stayed this far. I have a little special bonus fact for you. Did you know that in Naruto Retsuden, despite the fact that Naruto is not allowed to use any chakra, or else his chakra network will fail and freak out and he'll pass out, Naruto actually dodges photon lasers in base while chakraless. But you know how it is. When Naruto is 8 octodecillion times stronger, when actually having chakra, he's only like sub-relativistic to light. Am I right?
Oh god.
Hope you guys enjoyed. I think this video has a lot to offer when it comes to Naruto and Boruto fans alike.
Yeah.
It really just breaks it down.
Damn. Some shots fired there as well.
If you did, consider liking it and consider subscribing and sharing to some friends. And other than that, until next time.
Damn. That was cool. Baryon Mode boost. I mean, we already knew that anyway, but there's explanations on different levels. We got the scientific level, we got the mythological explanation, we've got actually just comparing to different forms within the anime. That was really good. I like that. I like that a lot. I like these way stronger than you think videos. Bing, bing, bam. So yeah, I'm glad I checked that out. Swakage's video was good. This was good. And I'm like that everyone's getting into the Boruto stuff now. It's cool. So, anyway, thank you to my patrons. If you want to have your name at the end of every video I upload, a link is in the description to the Patreon page. $1 a month is all that helps support the channel. It is greatly appreciated. Thank you guys very much for that. And thank you all for watching. What do you guys think of that? What do you guys think of this? Click like, subscribe, and leave comments down below. Let me know what I should watch discuss in future videos. And I'll see you guys, all you guys, next time.